Hey, Kelvin, good morning.
Good morning, Randy.
I had a question. Just watching y'all's first several games, the continued development of Milos, and I want to get your opinion on what you're seeing as far as the job he's doing out there, his development, and just how he's fitting into your culture, y'all's program's culture during his time here with U of H so far, this early this season.
Yeah, yeah. When we lose a position player, we never really think about replacing that player. It's more replacing the position. We weren't looking for another Jamal. We were looking for another point guard. It's just like um, we handpicked um, Galen. Um, Dejan, Dejan was a different dude. He just required um, his development was just a little bit different, but his skill set and his IQ was always high. Um, Jamal, um, watching him in high school in the summer, I knew that he was going to be a slow developer. But having Dejan as the starting point guard allowed him to, come to practice every day and compete against Sasser, um, um, Grimes, and that bunch. And then with Milos, we handpicked Milos too. It was mutual. He handpicked us. We handpicked him. Um, he's different, but he's different in his way. So we always tell guys, people like to compare, but if you're trying to be like somebody else, at best you're going to be second best. If you be the best version of yourself, you're going to be number one. So there was never any pressure on him to replace anybody, at least for the people that mattered, people in the gym and the program. Um, Milos's biggest thing was physicality. I noticed after about 3 weeks in June, I said, I blew the whistle one day at practice, and I said, the thing I've noticed about you, Milos, you don't foul. I don't think you fouled anybody since you've been here. Some we foul. Foul somebody. Even if it's intentional, I just need to see some level of physicality from you. So it didn't take him learning to figure out that we foul a lot here, and that's helped his development in a indirect way. It's helped him be more aggressive. But Milos is a um, he's just extremely skilled. Um, didn't take me long to watch him shoot to realize he can be a good shooter. Um, I don't base my opinion on somebody based on what they did at the previous school. What's that got to do with here? We're coaching him now, and it goes back to self-esteem, confidence. There's during our practices, there's a lot of things going on, but at the end of the day, as a coach, your job is to help these kids be the best version of themselves they can be. But it's a process with Milos. He's getting better, but he's a long way away from where I think he can be.
Thank you, Randy. We'll go to Chris
Thank
Ball
you.
with Paper City, Houston. Chris, please go ahead, sir.
Hey, Kelvin. With this break that you didn't necessarily want, did you scrimmage more or do other things to simulate game scenarios, or how did you sort of end up handling it?
Well, it's not the first time we've had a break. Handle them all the same. You we got a lot of good reps in for Mercy and Chase. Cordell said worked on late game situations. Took a day off here or there. Sometimes a day off from practice just means that we're working on shooting. So we just mixed it up.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go to Shelby Coppage from ESPN TV. Shelby, please go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Nice to see you.
Hey,
I
Shelby.
saw that you had said you're either a point guard or you're not, and we've only had three of them here in 10 years. Milos is a true point guard. What makes him a true point guard compared to your past players?
Well, all my point guards have been true point guards. I've never had one that wasn't. That's what we look for. It's like taking a wide receiver that can throw it 90 yards. That doesn't mean he's a quarterback. Just because a guy can get an assist doesn't mean he's a point guard. Point guards are different categories. They're they know how to manage the game. I don't have to teach them that. Um, um, I think the success of your team, and this is why our team is still growing, and we still have a ways to go before we become a really good team, is trust, being able to read between the lines, learn to ad lib, know when it's time to attack, know where your best players are in certain situations, know when somebody needs the ball without the bench being involved. Milos has a high basketball IQ, as most point guards do.
Thank you, Shelby. We'll go back to Chris.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
Bet.
Kelvin, a number of the recruits you signed have brought up how you guys were there from the very beginning, that before a lot of other teams were there. How important is that early evaluation period and identifying who you want, before the stars come out or any of that? How important is that early process?
That's probably always been our secret sauce, is evaluation. A lot of these kids are kids that they're talented, but they're not developed yet. They're still in that a little bit in the incubation process. I mean, they're still there. They're not, Kingston had a lot of baby giraffe in him first time I saw him. But trying to describe what we look for in a player is useless, is fruitless. I mean, I can't tell you what I look for, because but I know what it is. I mean, I've been doing it for so long. There are some kids that would wow you if you went to a gym because you saw somebody say how good he is. I have zero. I don't pay attention to what anybody thinks about a player. If I did, why would I recruit Marcus Sasser? He was ranked 300 and something. Nobody got excited when we signed Marcus. Nobody got excited when we signed Jamal. Jamal was probably 150. But when you sign a kid that's a single digit, everybody gets excited. They weren't a single digit when we saw him. You have to be able to project where a kid's going to be. And then he's got to have certain physical features. Like Kingston is a true point guard. He's not a two guard. He's not a slot receiver. He's not a wide receiver. I'm in Texas, so I'm breaking this thing down for you boys in football here. He is a game manager that has great physical gifts. Isaiah Harwell, I saw him when he was 15, getting ready to turn 16. I think it was a Adidas tournament in Rock Hill, South Carolina. He was a freshman going his sophomore year, playing on a team full of juniors going their senior year. He wasn't the best player on his team, but he was the best player on his team to fit us. I just liked him. But the same with JoJo Tugler. The question that gets me more than anything else is when people say, "Did you know he was going to be that good?" That's what I do for a living. I don't let somebody else do the work and come back and write about it. I'm actually we're the infantry. We're on the front line. We're not back there like Marcus Aurelius and Gladiator back there on a white horse telling everybody what to do. We're actually down there pulling out our bayonet and, or the Patriot, you're lobbing rocks at somebody. We have, recruiting is it really hasn't changed for me at least since I've started doing it. I don't recruit any different now than I ever have. I go find guys I like to recruit and I recruit them. If I wanted somebody's opinion, then I shouldn't be doing this.
We'll go to Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle. Joseph, go ahead, please, sir.
Good morning, Kelvin.
Joseph, you look like you're in a space shuttle.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in orbit somewhere right now. That's the
Yeah.
first time I've heard Marcus Aurelius mentioned in a sports conversation.
Well, that's before he died. At one point he was the guy, and then then things happen.
But before I ask you what I want to ask you, I feel obligated to, since Chris Gardner's not on, to ask you about Hofstra. Who are players that we need to be looking for?
I knew I was missing something. I'm missing. Their strength is their three guards. We played them, I think, in 21-22 season, and they led us the entire game. I'm still trying to figure how we won that. We managed to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat that night, and that team went on probably to become the best team we've had. But that's what I call November basketball. Don't start making opinions on teams in November. They're all going to get better. But that night, Tajay Moore bailed us out with some timely threes. But the story of that game was not us winning. The story of that game should have been how well Hofstra played. Well coached. They have a hard-headedness about them that no matter what you do, they're going to play their way. They're not going to get persuaded to change. They're a half-court team. They run great sets. They play through their guards. Their bigs have specific roles. The three kids that are their best players is number 5, Cruz Davis, number 7, Aaron Guerin, and then their other guard is Sanders. Now, last night against Florida State, the Robinson kid came off the bench and really played well. But I like this team. They're going to do good. Potential NCAA tournament team, but they're always going to be a challenge because of how organized they are. They know who they are, and they have a discipline about them that I really respect.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll go back to Chris Baldwin, please. Chris, go ahead.
Kelvin, how does Emmanuel's physicality help him, and what does that add to his game?
Well, Emmanuel would be the opposite of Milos. Milos is not to the point yet where he plays off contact great, whereas Emmanuel's a little bit like a rock rolling downhill. No matter what hits him, it's going to bounce off of him. He's just got one of those bodies. He's a bad faller. He falls like you're just letting a rock go. Whereas some guys fall gracefully. Emmanuel just splats. But that's who he is. I mean, it helps him get fouled, helps him get downhill, helps him get M1s because he's able to receive contact and play through it versus bounce off of it. And he's got one of those bodies. When he got here, he was about 235 pounds because of his surgery and the rod that was placed in his leg. He had a traumatic injury. But the way he's come back from that, I think, being around that kid as much as I have over the last 3 years, that's a tough kid. He's one of my favorites on this team because he's fearless and he plays fearless. One of the games that we show our kids a lot is we played Alcorn State. I think it was Marcus's senior year. Marcus led us in floor burns and steals that night. Best player on the team, was our toughest guy. That's why, people start throwing away around stuff at us like trap games and looking forward to. No, that's the way you think. That is not the way we think. So don't put us into your thought process or make it sound like that's how we're going to approach things. So that's not how we approach things. That Alcorn State game is how we play every game. How we do certain things is there's a demand part of that we play hard every night. I don't care who we play. Most people are thinking about next week, probably. I don't know if you do or not, but I know we're not. We haven't played since last what was it, Wednesday? So our kids will be excited to play Hofstra, and we'll play Hofstra like that's the last game of the season. But we try to play every game like that regardless. But Emmanuel against Louisiana the other night, I thought was a great leader for us. And then when Ramon came in, I thought he was a great leader. Those things do things that we value in this program. And that's contagious, gets us going. So leadership has nothing to do with how many points you score or what year in school you are. It has everything to do with your preparation leading up to the game, and then how hard you compete once the game starts. Those are the kind of leaders I value.
Thank you, Chris. We'll go back to Joseph Duarte, please. Joseph, go ahead, sir.
Kelvin, how does JVA responded during this past week?
Awesome. That's probably been the highlight so far is how much better he's getting. We did not have JVA against Auburn. Our one of the strengths of this team is the triumvirate of J1, JVA, and JoJo. Those three guys make everybody better because you can keep them rested. Ramon is an option against certain teams. Certain teams maybe not. But JoJo and J1 and JVA, that three-headed monster, and bringing along JoJo at the 4 spot, getting him comfortable there. That's going to make us better once we get into December, January, February, March. In early November, we're not the team we're going to be a month from now or 2 months from now. That's we've always put value on that. Something our team's been good at for a long time. Is you wander through the wilderness trying to find something. You try different things. And then you learn from it. I think that describes every year we've been here. We've always been better in December than we were November. And each month after that, our goal is to get better and better. And sometimes you have to be creative in the ways you do that. But it's something we've been pretty good at.